So the protagonist, Kaiji, is a bit of a loser. He has no job, and he spends all his days drinking, gambling, and losing all his money. One day, a loan shark named Endo comes to him. Apparently, one of Kaiji's friends took a loan from Endo, and now he's disappeared. Since Kaiji had signed as his guarantor, he has to pay for the loan with interest. With all the compound interests, the amount to be paid is 3.8 million yen. In US dollars, that equals to about, you are screwed. If Kaiji pays back in monthly installments, he will have to spend around 11 years. Kaiji starts getting depressed. He even considers not paying, but Endo apparently knows all the details about Kaiji's family. Basically, the equivalent of pulling out someone's IP address. Kaiji is trapped, but Endo gives him an opportunity. They are going to have a gambling game soon. The winners will have their loans forgiven. The losers will have to do hard labor for 1 or 2 years, and their loans will also be forgiven. A series of games where poor people compete with each other? Kinda reminds me of some Korean drama. What was it? Squid Match? Crab Game? Something like that. Anyways, Kaiji joins the game. A month later, they take him on a ship. There are lots of other people who are also poor and knows lots of money. The game master comes in with a huge stack of money. In order to play the games, the players have to borrow money at 1.5 interest every 10 minutes. The lowest rate they can borrow is 1 million yen. The highest rate is 10 million yen. And they have to pay back only 40% and they can keep the rest. With no other choice, the players start borrowing 1 million yen, which is the safe choice. But since they don't know what game they might have to play, Kaiji and a few others borrow 10 million. The hallmaster gives them 12 cards of paper, scissors, and rock, 4 cards of each. Then they all get 3 stars each. It's a standard game of paper, scissors, rock where winner gets 1 star from their opponent for every win. The used cards are thrown away in a box and the record is shown on the board. The time limit is 4 hours. At the end of that time, they must use up all their 12 cards while also having a minimum of 3 stars left. The rest will be the losers. As for the money they borrowed, the hallmasters say, "Do whatever you want with it." Then he refuses to answer any more questions. Honestly, what an asshat. The gambling begins and people start winning and losing. The ones who lose all 3 of their stars are taken away. Kaiji decides to take his time and be more careful. Another player, Funai, approaches him with an offer. They'll pretend to play with each other and they will play the same cards every time. That way, their cards will be used up while also maintaining their 3 stars. Since Kaiji is a naive guy, he agrees. They play consecutive orders of rocks, paper, and scissors, drawing every time. Until at the end, Funai shows his true colors and uses the wrong card, and takes his 1 star. Funai pretends that it was an accident and offers to equal it in the next round. But he uses some sleight of hand and he wins the other round as well, taking 2 of his stars. Funai plans to sell these stars at the end to anyone lacking stars. Kaiji's shocked at the betrayal. He attacks Funai, but the guards stop him. Kaiji now has only 1 card and 1 star left. He realizes it's his own fault for being so trusting and weak. Suddenly, he sees Takeshi, his friend who borrowed the money from the loan shark, meet Kaiji's guarantor and disappeared. Takeshi is the reason Kaiji is on the ship. He follows Takeshi, who has 1 star and 4 cards left. Kaiji also meets Ando, who has 2 stars but no cards. The 3 of them unite together to gather the needed stars. But Ando is a fool. He borrows one of Takeshi's cards and goes to play. Kaiji tries to stop him, but he plays and loses. Now he has only 1 star left. Despite this obvious treachery, Kaiji does not abandon him, as there is no benefit in that. Now they have a total of 4 scissor cards and 3 stars left, and they have 2.5 hours left. Suddenly, Kaiji comes up with an idea. They find a man who has 7 cards left and also uses rock and scissors. Judging from his happy expression, his cards are probably balanced. 2 rocks, 2 scissors, and 3 papers. It's a huge risk, but Kaiji challenges him. In the first round, it goes as expected. The man uses his extra paper card and Kaiji wins. The man gives 1 star. The second round, the man puts a rock and Kaiji loses the other star. Since Kaiji used 2 straight scissors, the man thinks that Kaiji has a balanced deck. He thinks that Kaiji has rock and paper left, so he puts down paper. But of course, Kaiji's deck is unbalanced. He uses scissors and he wins. The man gets angry. Now he thinks that Kaiji has rock left, so he puts paper. But Kaiji wins it back to back. Kaiji now has 3 stars. Now Kaiji can just run away. But he's a good guy. Now they need another 4 stars, but they have no cards to play with. Disposal of cards is not allowed, as they disqualified a man who tries to throw his cards away. But transfer of cards is allowed. They have 14 million yen, but no one will sell 4 stars for only that much, and they only have 2 hours left now. Since the number of remaining rock, paper, and scissor cards are displayed, Kaiji has an idea. If they buy lots of rock cards, then they can use them when everyone else's paper card runs out. But they have to be careful so as to not let anyone know. They secretly buy the entire decks of several players at a total cost of 8 million yen. Then they wait for the cards to play out. Meanwhile, the hallmaster sits with an old man. The old man laughs at Kaiji for trying to beat the system. Suddenly, something goes wrong. The scissors cards start decreasing rapidly, in pairs. Meanwhile, the number of paper cards are not decreasing at all. Kaiji realizes that someone else is also hoarding the paper cards like they're hoarding the rock cards. This is why the scissors cards are being used together and being drawn. Being scared that the rock cards will be useless, Takeshi and Ando become impulsive and use their cards, and as expected, the idiots lose 1 star each. These guys who hoarded the paper cards apparently targeted Kaiji's group. Their leader, Kitami, admits that Kaiji's plan was well thought out and he respects Kaiji, so Kitami offers to sell 1 star but for 5 million. But Kaiji refuses it, and instead, he challenges Kitami for 1 round. Kitami agrees, but Kaiji knows that if he loses, then he will be taken away anyways. So he asks Kitami to bet 3 stars in this one single round, putting his own star along with Takeshi and Ando's star on the line. Takeshi and Ando start losing their minds, and they refuse to wager their stars. They only have 45 minutes left, so Kaiji threatens to give the remaining 6 million yen to Kitami if these 2 idiots don't agree with his plan. They begin their match. With their lives on the line, the match begins. But then Kaiji reveals everything that he planned. Apparently, when Kitami first came to tease them, he accidentally told them that the next match would be their last. This meant they have 1 fixed extra card remaining for the end, and the rest are the same cards that they will draw with each other. Using basic calculations, Kaiji realized that their extra card is papers, so Kaiji uses scissors. And just like that, they win 3 stars in 1 stroke. Once that is done, Kaiji decides to take it to the next step and buy paper cards as well. With half an hour left, they buy up 20 paper cards. Kaiji goes to Kitami, whose friends have abandoned him, and advances to the higher room. Now he has no one to draw all the paper cards that he has hoarded. Kaiji buys all those cards for a cheap 2 million. Kitami reluctantly sells them and advances to the next room. Now Kaiji's group has 30 rocks, 5 scissors, and 34 papers. Then they wait for everyone else to only have scissor cards, so they can defeat them using the rock cards. Just then, Funai, the man who first scammed Kaiji, comes to him. He has collected 8 stars in total. Funai knows that Kaiji is hoarding cards. Funai asks him for some cards to play against some weak opponents. He's collecting stars to sell them at huge prices in the end. In return, he offers one of his stars to Kaiji as a guarantee to advance to the upper level. He tells him to ditch Takeshi and Ando, but Kaiji pushes him away. Kaiji and the group wait until the other people's cards come down to 3. With less than half an hour remaining, they go to challenge other players. But everyone is too suspicious to play. Many people bought cards and that information has been passed around. Suddenly, Funai gets in front and suggests everyone collect, shuffle, and redistribute their cards. That way, they all get a restart and no one can guess what cards they have. Everyone joins in the fun. With the fear of having their cards known, Kaiji has no choice but to give up his hoarded cards and join Funai's devious plan. They have 15 minutes left. They give all their 69 cards to the circle. Funai shuffles the cards and distributes them according to the same number they had before. Kaiji and his gang quickly count their cards and make calculations. According to their own cards and the ones on the display, the cards that the other people have must be 2 rocks, 2 scissors, and 0 papers. The 2 rocks and 2 papers are distributed amongst Funai and 3 other men, meaning they all have 1 each. Kaiji challenges one of the men, but Funai stops him, reminding him that Kaiji has lots of cards and he would beat him. Kaiji gets angry and attacks Funai, but the weasel escapes. Since Funai was confident in beating other people, then he must have used some trickery when distributing the cards. Kaiji lays out all the suspicious things that Funai did when shuffling and distributing the cards, including marking some cards with scratches. Hearing the facts, everyone refuses to play with him. Kaiji correctly guesses that Funai has a rock card and he also has no way of getting rid of it. The 3 others are not playing because they know they have 2 scissors and 1 rock amongst themselves. Since time is running out, Kaiji makes them an offer. He'll put 3 cards in front of them and they can choose what card Kaiji will play. Since they have no other choice, they do it. It becomes a game of pure luck. The first guy plays scissors and chooses Kaiji's card, which is rock. He loses. The second guy plays rocks and chooses Kaiji's card, which is scissors. He wins. The third guy has scissors, and Kaiji's remaining card is paper. He also wins. Now Kaiji has 1 star left, while his gang has 2 each. Next, Kaiji challenges Funai for 5 stars. Funai refuses, but Kaiji reminds him that Funai must get rid of his last card or those stars that he collected will be meaningless and he'll be taken away. To avoid that, he has to play Kaiji for the 5 stars. They only have 3 minutes left. With no other option, Funai plays him, loses, and gives up the 5 stars that he was planning to sell. But Kaiji and the gang have 65 cards left. 3 minutes is not enough time to play them even if they're going to draw with each other. So, Kaiji decides to make the ultimate gamble. He takes all those cards with him, then he gives all the stars and money to Takeshi and Ando. They will have to use them to buy Kaiji out if they get a buy-sell period. It's a huge gamble for Kaiji. They play one last game where Kaiji loses and gives the stars. And Kaiji is taken to the loser's room where they strip him and put him in a 2-way glass room with the losers. There, one person confirms that there will be a buy-sell opportunity where the winners can use their extra stars to save some losers. Another person is also waiting, but apparently his friend betrayed him. Kaiji gets scared. On the outside floor, Takeshi asks for permission to save Kaiji using his extra stars. The Hallmaster allows it. Everyone starts asking them to sell one, so Takeshi sells one extra star for 5 million, but they need the other extra 3 to save Kaiji. But suddenly, Ando gets greedy. He refuses to give up his stars or his money. Oh my god, I hate this man so much. Kaiji watches helplessly as Ando laughs like a crazy person. Ando reminds Takeshi of the money they borrowed at the beginning. With all the interest rates, the 3 of them would leave the ship with 3 million in debt each. But if they don't take out Kaiji, then the 2 of them could sell their stars and leave the ship with 10 million extra money. Takeshi cannot argue with that logic. Kaiji's helpless and cries. The other man laughs. He has lots of money and his friends bail him out. Suddenly, Kaiji realizes something. He beats the man until the guards stop him. The man leaves. The spectacled man asks Kaiji why he was acting so rashly. Kaiji reveals that 1 star is going out for 5 million and the man needs 3 stars to be saved. So he needs 15 million, but he was only holding about 7 or 8 million in cash. That means he probably had something valuable hidden in his cave. Just kidding. It was hidden in the bandage. Kaiji now has 2 valuable rings with them worth over 20 million. The other men have no choice but to save him. The spectacled man can only watch helplessly. Kaiji comes out like a boss and he kicks the snake, slaps the idiot, and takes their 2 extra stars and the money. But those 2 start scolding him, reminding him that they were comrades earlier. What snakes? Kaiji goes and spends all the money to buy another star. Then he uses the 3 stars to save the spectacled man. When the snake and the idiot ask him if the man he saved has lots of money, Kaiji gets angry at them for only thinking about money all the time. Though all their debts from the outside are erased, only half of the survivors cleared the ship's debt as well. The rest got fresh debts from what they borrowed on the ship. For example, Kaiji's 3.8 million debt is erased, but he got a new debt of 6.3 million with an 18% annual interest rate. That's been the worst trade deal in the history of trade deals. Kaiji goes back to his minimum wage life, earning a meager 900 yen an hour alongside his colleague Sahara. As they are returning, Endo, the original loan shark, comes to meet him. Endo informs him of another gambling game with another chance to win millions of yen. Kaiji refuses, but hearing about the money, Sahara asks to join in. Kaiji yells at him, but Endo reminds him that even if Kaiji gives all his earnings for payment, he will spend over 16 years repaying the debt. Instead, Kaiji can turn his life in one night. Endo pulls out stacks of money to tempt Kaiji. After thinking long and hard, Kaiji decides to join the game, but this time he's determined not to make any mistakes. This time the location is a hotel. There Kaiji meets the spectacled old man from earlier. His name is Ishida, and he's happy to see Kaiji and hoping to work together. But Kaiji ain't making the same mistake again. He declares that they're all enemies here. Sahara also joins the game. This time it's a little different. They won't enter all at once. The 60 of them will make 5 groups of 12, and they will enter one group after another. Kaiji volunteers in the first group. Seeing this, Ishida and Sahara also enter the same group. The 12 men are put in small coffin rooms and carried up somewhere. Then a voice on a speaker announces the rules. Whoever reaches the other side first wins 20 million yen. Second place gets 10 million. Whoever touches the beam with their hands will be disqualified. When the cover is lifted, they're revealed to be in a high and dangerous place with a beam before them. Below them, lots of rich people have placed bets on them while eating and drinking rich food and drinks. They're treating our contestants like racehorses. One of the men starts walking, but he falls and breaks his bones. The rich people only laugh at them. Kaiji starts walking, but there is one person in front of him. The rich people yell at him to push him. Just then, a third person starts walking behind him. On top of that, the beam gets narrower. Now Kaiji has to push the man in front or he'll be pushed by the one behind him. In other beams, the contestants push the ones before them while being filled with guilt. Pushed or be pushed. This is how real life is. But Kaiji gathers his character and yells out that he won't push even if he'll be pushed. The other behind Kaiji gets desperate and they struggle on the beam. They fall but regain their balance. In the scuffle, all 3 of them touch the beam, meaning they are disqualified. Meanwhile, Sahara comes first and Ishida comes second. After the race, Kaiji wonders if he made the right choice. They watch other groups return. The 5th group had only 1 survivor. The first and second are given a strange ticket to cash in their prize. Since group 5 has only 1 survivor, there is still 1 ticket left. Anyone who is disqualified can play for it. They're taken to meet with the Hallmaster. The Hallmaster explains that there are only 2 hours left for the ticket to be cashed in. In order to do that, they will have to cross a tightrope across 2 really tall buildings. Sahara gets angry. The Hallmaster gets even angrier and he gives a long speech about society and money, or whatever. Kaiji also joins to claim the last remaining 10 million yen ticket. The Hallmaster accepts him but gives one final warning. The beam is electrically charged, so if anyone touches it with their bare hands, they will be electrocuted. And just like that, the final part of their dangerous game begins. 2 of the previous winners back out, so the Hallmaster gives their tickets to the others who lost in the previous game. Since all 10 of them can win the money, there is no need to compete against each other. Kaiji draws lines in the people's shoes so that they can align it with the line on the beam for better balance. Then he gives a motivational speech to go and grab success. Kaiji is becoming a real leader out there. Seeing this sense of comradeship and motivation, the Hallmaster laughs. He knows that they're really afraid deep down. He reminds them that they have only 1 hour left to claim the tickets and win the money. So the men divide into halves and start crossing the 2 beams. On the way, Kaiji almost slips. Because of this near-death experience, he starts to get really scared and he starts trembling. But he regains his composure. But another man starts hallucinating that he's being pushed by a strong gust of wind. Kaiji yells at him to remain calm, but the man is not in his right state due to his fear. He starts reaching down for support. Sahara, who is behind, cannot risk touching him. The man grabs the beam for support and he gets electrocuted, and he falls to his death. Meanwhile, some ultra-rich people can be seen watching the whole thing while they dine and wine in an expensive place. Another man gets terrified and runs away, but he loses his balance and also falls to his death. Back-to-back 2 deaths, and the rest of them start losing their composure. Everyone starts panicking while crying loudly. Kaiji yells at them to calm down, but it's of no use. And now they have only 45 minutes left. That's it for part 1. Link to part 2 will be on the pinned comment down below.